Power moves are happening behind the scenes on the reserve list. The Hot 10 shares it all. It's a recession. Things are going badly. People are not spending money. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and I've got facts to the contrary. You know, when you're looking for sales in the reserve list every week on the Hot 10, I do a reserve list video and a regular video. A lot of you, my regular viewers, know that. I put the stats out there, how many sales I could track and find. And some weeks look pretty slow. You know, like, not much going on. Then you start getting some of the higher cards like, 50, 60 copies of this sold, 10 copies here, 15. Oh, that isn't going to make the list. But then the odd time, when you least expect it, higher cards start to move, start to sell. Because they've reached that level. I'm not talking Power 9, but I'm talking movement of those mid-level, high-end cards that have now dropped enough in price to attract not whales, but other players who finally say, you know what? Do I want to buy a draft box of something or get a card I really want that I'm going to be able to hold on to forever? And that's what I'm talking about. Forget about what's stale, what's not. Nothing's moving on the market. The sales are still happening behind the scenes. People are making plays for cards that I haven't seen move in this volume in a very long time. It's fascinating to watch it happen. And as we go down the yellow brick road together today, as we share that journey, you're going to see some crazy stuff. You're going to see some numbers that are a little bit shocking. We're going to have some fun with it. I mean, this is reserve list stuff. And to know that it's moving in those volumes is just, it's awesome. Nobody buys reserve list. Really? Really? Keep fooling yourself. Keep pretending that that's what's happening. And maybe one day you'll believe it. But no, things are selling. Things are moving. And it's a great time. I got my coffee here. I made sure I didn't spill anything. I got a little bit left over for myself. I'm going to take a sip. We're going to line up the yellow brick road together. We're going to take the journey from number 10 to number 1. And please remember, if this, give this video a thumbs up. Put the comments in the comments section. Let's get this one rolling today, because this is awesome. So we're starting out the journey today with City of Traders at number 10. That's from Exodus, guys. This had a smaller print run of a set, and you see there the 17 sales, but that represents $4,000 US roughly. Okay, those 17 sales is $4,000 US. That's a lot of money. You look at that market average of $263.70. Here in Canada, it's about $350 for this card, Canadian. And then overseas there, you're looking at €209.74. Those kind of line up, but the US are getting a bit of a break on this card, but it has been slipping down. This card was about $500 at one point. Being 50% off, people are starting to bite. They're noticing. And it's not like a buyout. It's just a lot of people taking little tiny pot shots at cards like this. When you take a look at the City of Traders and you realize smaller print run, gorgeous artwork, and look at it. If you play a land, you got to sacrifice it. I get it. But if you're in mid-game, late game, or early game and you just want to have lots of available colorless mana, adding 2 colorless mana to your mana pool is such an epic card. Now, the funny thing is, I myself do not own a copy of this card, which is hilarious. I thought I had one. So maybe I'll be one of those people taking a little nibble on this card. I'll probably aim for a near mint copy just in case I don't use it right away. At least I have one to say that I own that piece of amazing history and magic. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at number 9 this week. And that is going to be Tiaga. I don't know, you guys always say I pronounce it wrong, but this is the way it's going to go. Now, again, when you're looking at this card and you realize it has 18 sales, but the average price there at $395, this card has over $6,300 US in sales in 1 week. $6,300 US. That market price of $395.81, that's crazy, okay? Here in Canada, it's around $500 for this card. €268.69 to get this card into your house. I mean, you guys can understand that, right? Cards like this are at a bargain right now. I know this card isn't dipping as much as others, but people are buying them. They're picking them up. They're trading things in. They're spending some hard-earned cash, and they're saying, you know what? It's a good chance. that this card will probably never beat these levels again, and I can pitch in a few extra bucks, get myself a near mint copy, which is what we saw a lot happening, light played near mint, with only a couple of heavily played being bought out. But guys, an amazing card, an amazing piece of Magic history, and something that every Commander player likes to get their hands on is dual lands, as well as old school, vintage, legacy players. There's a lot of people out to get this card. It can't be underestimated how amazing cards like this are. Now, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the number 8 card this week. That's right, Mox Diamond. Okay, Mox Diamond is actually on the list this week. And when you look at this card, it had 20 sales. I know that seems so small for a card from Stronghold, but when you realize that the average price is $671, that means roughly $12,000 US was spent buying this card in a week. $12,000. That is some serious change, guys. And it wasn't a buyout, a lot of various things, some LGSs that had single copies, a few on TCG, a couple on eBay. You start adding those up and you realize people are getting this card because it's dipped a little bit. It's down by, you know what, maybe 10, 12%, but that was enough for some players to say, you know what, that's a pretty good bargain. That is a pretty good deal. Now you guys see what I'm talking about. This is just irregular. These aren't the cards I expect to see in the Hot 10 reserve list video, but this is what's happening. You can't deny it. You can't say it's not. It is. You can look it up. You can always check it out yourself. This is what's happening. I mean, that's why you come here, because then you don't have to look it up for yourself. But wow, Mox Diamond. Remember I bought mine? People on the channel helped me buy mine. Patrons, viewers, you guys are awesome. Just Mox Diamond is so epic. I can see why people just want to get their hands on it. And that's the number 8 card. Let's go ahead now and take a look at number 7. Now, number 7 is Badlands. Now, I admit that they both had 20 sales, okay? It was a tie. I had to decide who would go first, but I just decided, hey, make it easy. I'll just put them in the order I got them from for the data. So you look at Badlands here at number 7, 20 sales as well, but look, that's still $8,000 in sales, okay? I'm just averaging things out, guys. You can look at every penny depending on the version that got bought, but it's around $8,000 US. Look at this money start to roll up and look at the cards that are being bought, and it's just crazy. You're approaching like $30,000, $40,000 in a 7-day period on cards like this, and we're not even at 5 yet. We're not even at the top 5. Okay, like Badlands is a great card. Don't get me wrong. I needed one for my Throwbowl deck. I made sure to get one, but wow, this is just some epic stuff, guys. Just amazing to see. So when you look at cards like this, those dual lands are being bought whether people like it or not. It's happening. Get used to it. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at number 6. That's right. Rainbow Veil hangs in there with 21 sales this week. Rainbow Veil is not letting it go. Okay, guys? When you look at this card from Fallen Empires and you realize that it's still there, when people ask me it keeps getting bought, people keep picking up copies. A lot of near mint copies are being bought. You can't avoid it. I mean, I know it's Fallen Empires, but it's still at a pretty good bargain when you're looking at only $10.45 US. Yes, it isn't spending as much money, but 21 sales times an average of $10, you're still talking $210 US, right? It's still a little bit of money being spent out to get this card. And if it ever spikes up to a higher amount, because this card has been as high as $20, somebody's going to make a lot of money. If you're buying low end, go for the near mint copies. Not a joke. All right, let's get down to number 5. Fast Bond. 22 sales this week, okay? Now, Fast Bond's price of like $75, it's come all the way down to like, around the $22 to $24 mark. And 22 sales this week isn't a massive amount, but it's still $480 roughly. Like, this card still has a lot of good stuff going for it. People tend to forget that. This card could become unbanned. There's a lot of similar cards doing effects like this nowadays that maybe Fast Bond will become a regular played card back in Commander. You never know when they're going to unban a card like this. They're just going to take a look and see what else is out there, review it and say, yeah, it's not a big deal. We'll let it back in. And of course, you can still always play it in other formats as well. So keep it in mind, great card. And the price has just fallen so far, it's really hard to ignore it. Now, our next card is number 4, and that is Savannah. 23 sales this week, kind of tight together, you notice? When you're looking at a card like this for an average price of $377 and you look at the sales of 23, you're talking $6,900 US to make this many sales happen. We just talked about before, all these dual lands all lining up is something that really people are paying attention to it. Even if it's not a big whale, there's enough small sales, little sniping action happening with people picking up one or two and then adding it to their collections. And we all know there's really not enough to go around for the large amount of player base we have in Magic the Gathering. And I know there's a few people who still hoard these cards and have no intention of letting them go. So eventually you're going to see this price really start to reflect and end up going higher if it keeps the pace it's going at. I don't know if it will, but it's very interesting. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at number 3. Can you believe all these dual lands? Number 3. Okay, guys, that's right. Brain Geyser is back. 32 sales this week. Now, I was surprised to see how many sales were happening. The price is not super high. 32 sales, we're equaling about $800 US for all of that. But you got to recall where it came from. This card was around that $70 mark for quite a while, and it's been slowly trending down. The copies being bought are near mint, okay? The ones being bought are near mint. And I know players who still play with this card. It seems kind of slow, but it does say target player. So I do see some Commander people who like to have this around, just the guys who are playing casual, having a good time. They like to put this card in because you can really mess with people later on when you least expect it. By making opponents pick up a massive amount of card, and then you copy it a few times with various spells, and before you know it, people are picking up a couple hundred cards. It can be a lot of fun, and it's at a really affordable price, which is obviously what people are thinking when they're diving into a card like this, because why else are you spending it? It's 30 bucks, you want to have it, great. Reserve list cards, but near mint copies, that tells me something, okay? Let's go ahead. We're down almost at the bottom of the yellow brick road. Let's check out number 2. Now, number 2 is Ritual of the Machine with 38 sales this week. This got bought out last week with a really large number, and it was number 1. But even now at its current price, somebody only had to spend $400 US to get this many copies. It's still pretty low on the totem pole, even though it's a fairly decent card to be played. People recognize it's okay, but they're not using it all the time. You know, sacrificing a creature to gain control of target non-black, non-artifact creature, depending on the deck somebody's in, this fits well with my Throwbolt deck for my commander. Sacrifice a little low-level kobold or something and go ahead and gain control of some massive beastie. It makes sense, but it does cost 4. It's not the lowest casting cost, but if this card starts seeing more play, you can expect that price to go up a lot higher, okay? Now, you've waited long enough. We've gone through the rigmarole. We are now down to the number 1 card on the reserve list Hot 10 this week, and your number 1 card is Jabari's Influence from Mirage, okay? Now, 49 sales, but look at the price. When you see it's 49 sales, yeah, it's pretty high for, you know, it's mini buyout for sure, but you times that by that little tiny bit there, and you're only talking around $98. $98 bought that many cards to get to number 1. It doesn't take much to influence because it's based on the pure sales, not the dollar amount. That's how I do it, right? So you look at that card and you say, well, what is this? Like, really? Well, think about it. It's 2 white and 3 generic. Play only after combat. Gain control of target non-artifact, non-black creature that attacked you this turn. And put a -1, -0 counter on it. So you let some creature give you a beatdown, right? And then you just go ahead and take control of it. Like, it's pretty amazing, right? So I like that idea. It's not that expensive. It's a type of control card, and it's in white, which kind of throws people off. I can see why people might want to use a card like that. It would make some sense to me, and it's still so utterly cheap and affordable that why not get a playset of 4 for like $6, $7? So what do you guys think? It's a lot of mana-based cards, right? We have dual lands, City of Traders. Of course, the regular kind of cards from the normal Hot 10 are all in there. But when you look at those cards on the list, people are making decisions. They're drawing that line in the sand and saying, this is the day that I buy that card and add it to my collection forever. They hold the line and say, if I'm spending this kind of cash, you know they're never getting rid of it. This isn't a whale doing a buyout. These are individual people taking advantage of a good price point and getting in there while the getting's good. They know the market will turn at some point. It's going to happen. So congratulations to those people who grabbed it. Amazing stuff, guys. Can't wait to see what happens next week. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the live stream, of course, every Sunday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. Have a great day, wherever you are in the world of Magic. And of course, I wouldn't be here without the fantastic patrons on this channel. That's right, it's because of you that these videos happen. And don't you guys forget it, you're special. the squeaky floor is really starting to bother me. At some point, I'm going to deal with it. And I'm sorry if you heard the dog barking in the video, because my wife had just stepped outside and then stepped back in. For some reason, the dog thought she'd been gone forever. You know how it is. Have a great day wherever you guys are in the world of magic. Have fun, guys. You're hanging out with a guy who didn't graduate Magic University, and yes, this cardboard is mine. Enjoy the day, guys. I'll see you soon.